All right, so like I said, welcome everybody to the Girls Academy Chapter and Association webinar training. First thing I want to go over is updating any contact information with myself and fraternity headquarters. All of the applications that you submitted were submitted in spring of 2016, and so I am working off of applications that are getting to be almost a year old, and I need updated president and Girls Academy coordinator contact information, as well as updated alumni president, on-site area coordinator, and your association coordinator as well. Most of you have sent me this, but if things change, please let me know. We all know that officers will more than likely be in place. New officers will be in place by the time you all host. So if I need to start working with another set of people come the November, December timeframe, you just need to let me know. I need to have any updates to me by October 1st. So please make sure that you are sending those to me by October 1st. Again, most of you have sent those to me, but any last minute changes, please send those. Expectation of a 48-hour response via email. So Girls Academy, as you know, is really successful if we have a lot of communication. Anything is successful with a lot of communication. We need to make sure that just as much as I'm communicating with you, that you're communicating with me. So if I send you an email or if I send somebody on your team an email, it is an expectation that you respond to me within 48 hours. I will tell you that I have had Girls Academies that I have worked with that people haven't responded to me for weeks. I haven't gotten the information that I've needed, and their event has not been as successful as it could have been, and some events haven't even happened. So please make sure 48-hour notice or 48-hour response time. I also will adhere to that. If for some reason I'm traveling, I will have an out-of-office message up, and you'll know to expect it later than that 48-hour mark. But for the most part, 48 hours for me and 48 hours for you. Here is the list of the 2017 locations: University of Idaho, University of Kentucky, Colorado State, UC Davis, Elmhurst, Akron, Kansas, and UC San Diego. You all are in the same boat at the same time, so I'm sure that you'll be going through a lot of the same hurdles and challenges, etc., all at once. So if you would like to reach out to one another to see how planning progress is going, or if you need some suggestions, these individuals are all hosting at the same time, and they can be some of your biggest resources. If you do want to reach out to somebody, you can contact me and I can get you their contact information. And it also is nice to just know where else the Girls Academy program is being hosted in the same semester as you. We also are hosting 7 Girls Academies this fall currently. So that means we'll have 15 Girls Academies this year. That's the most Girls Academies that we have had so far to date in 1 year. And this program is just going to continue to grow. So for right now, we'll have 8 in your semester, and I don't anticipating there being any additional. So communication and expectation. We just talked about the 48-hour expectation for response time. However, I have worked with a lot of different Girls Academy programs at this point, and I've noticed that everybody seems to do their own thing when it comes to the planning, the logistics, working with a chapter, working with an association, etc. You are expected to work together as a team. It is something that both the association and the chapter, unless there has been some special circumstance, has signed on and has agreed to do and host together. That means that financially, you are supposed to be doing this together, and therefore you are supposed to be doing this all as a team with all communication. So we need to make sure that you're working together, that everybody's included on all of the emails that are sent out, from specific event logistics to the selection of a host middle school, to the dates that are selected, to who's going to house our facilitators that are there. So everybody needs to be in the know. I don't want to be in a situation where some chapter members and some association members know bits and pieces of information and others don't. I should be able to go to anybody on your team and ask a question, and I would get the same response. So please make sure that you're working together as a team. That goes into everybody receiving all of the communication. So if it's on an email thread, just reply all and make sure that everybody's informed as to what's going on and what the game plan is, as well as if I send something to you and it looks like there's your entire team on it, respond back so that they know, okay, Hillary has responded to the email that was sent out. I don't need to. That's just really important that we need to make sure that all communication is being seen by everybody. Host date should be approved by everyone as well. I've seen some chapters get all gung ho and have said that they've picked dates, but haven't checked with the association. And it is a conflict for the association. And so that causes problems. I've seen the same thing where associations have gone gung ho and didn't realize that it was an event that the chapter had already planned and it was something that could not be rescheduled. So please be working together to select those dates. Excuse me, sorry. So please be sure that you're working together to select those dates and make sure that it works for both calendars. When you applied, you had specific dates on that calendar that you thought would be possible. If you deviate from the dates, that's completely fine, but you all just need to make sure that those dates are being known by everybody. Additionally, make sure you're working with a school when you come to them with prospective dates. Depending upon what school you're looking at, you need to be careful that you're not hitting Easter break, you're not hitting a spring break, you're not hitting any of their holidays for a long weekend. Lots of things can get in the way spring semester, so you'll want to make sure that you're being very smart about that. Also, please make sure that you're smart about scheduling when it comes to midterms as well as your breaks and then also finals. I know that some groups have tried to do it midterm week and it's not necessarily been super successful because they haven't been able to get the number of volunteers that they need. So please keep that in mind. Dates are really important, and we'll definitely talk more about the date in the future, but that's just going to be something that everybody needs to be on the same page and everybody needs to approve the date. So the school deadline and contract. You are expected to have secured a middle school by October 1st. This is not a surprise. I understand that this webinar is on September the 19th, but you are expected to host or to select a school and have a contract signed to me by October 1st. Anybody can sign this contract. We do prefer that it's an association member that signs as like the CAPA representative, but anybody can sign it. And the contract that actually comes to me is from the school itself. The school may have an additional contract that they ask you to sign. As long as you run that contract through MJ Insurance, everything is completely fine with anybody signing that contract. The contract that comes to me will have a school representative name and signature, the host institute or the host school, and then what date you plan on hosting. Some schools, some Board of Educations will ask for insurance information, and you can request that through MJ's sorority division. And all you need to do is get on their website, and you can just Google MJ Insurance, get on their website, it'll say sorority division, and then there will be something that says like certificate of insurance request form, and you'll be able to request that. You will probably get an email from somebody asking for more details. Explain to them that it's a Girls Academy event and that the host middle school would like to see our proof of insurance. Some middle schools don't even require this, but I just wanted to make sure that you had this information ready to go should you need this information. Last but not least, contracts can take a few weeks. At this point, you should really have already secured that school and you should be working through that contract phase. Most of the time, somebody from the Board of Education needs to sign it. They won't just let a principal or even a teacher sign the contract because the contract is binding. So you need to be making sure that you're going through the correct approval process and that you're giving a school enough time to get that contract signed. Sometimes the board doesn't meet every week or every other week. It might be a monthly meeting. And so you need to make sure that you get on their docket now. If there's going to be an issue with you getting a signed contract by October 1st, you need to let me know this week. I can work with you to potentially offer you a new deadline. However, it is the expectation that October 1st happened and has a signed contract. So if there are going to be roadblocks, communication with me is going to be key at this point. Funding. So as you all know, you're expected to raise $4,900. $500 has already been collected as the deposit for the program. Some of you are well on your way to having that funding completed. Some of you already have that funding completed. Others of you have only given us the $500 deposit. The biggest thing you need to know is this is due 60 days before your event. If you don't raise the money by 60 days before your event, you will not be permitted to host unless you've received some sort of exception from me. And all of the money that you will have raised to date will be donated to the foundation, because donors have given that money with the pretense that it will be spent on Girls Academy. And so we cannot give the money back to you if the Girls Academy doesn't happen. That's not being responsible with our donors' money. So please make sure that you know, if it's not in 60 days before the event, you will not be expected to host. We're not allowed to host. It looks like I have a question, so I'm going to pause. Okay, it looks like somebody says they lost the webinar for a second. Okay, never mind. She's back. All right, so next piece, additional funds are going to be needed for food and post-mentoring activities. These food and post-mentoring activities can cost you up to $1,500. Make sure that you are well aware of your chapter funds as well as association funds, and that when you are fundraising, you're fundraising enough to cover all of those as well as your $4,900. You should be working to get that piece, at least the food piece, donated, and you have plenty of time to start on that process now. But please note that additional funds will be needed from you for the food and post-mentoring activities. Those are not covered within your $4,900. We're going to touch on that in a little bit because we do have a supplemental grant application, but we'll touch that in a couple minutes. Last thing you'll see on this page is a track your funding link. This also lives, if you go to kappa.org, and up on the top of the screen on the homepage, there are 5 different options. It starts with about, and then the 4th one in says education. If you click on education, you scroll halfway down the page, over on the right-hand side, you're going to see this same tracker. So it lives on the public side of our website, so anybody can donate, and you can see you can track your funding at that point. So hopefully, I'm going to click on this and hopefully it takes me where it needs to go. Okay, can you all still see my screen? Raise your hand. Okay, so you should see the the fraternity site right now, and you're going to see up in the top right, we're going to click on education. We're going to scroll to the bottom, and you're going to see all of your names over here with your percentage that you've already raised to your goal. The cool thing about this is linked to your foundation page. So say UC Davis has something that they would like to donate. They click on this. It takes you straight to the foundation page. You can choose how much you'd like to donate for Davis and then submit through here, just like you would for any other donation for the foundation. So that's very unique, but definitely very helpful. And it's something that we've seen has been really positive for our chapters. So raise your hand again if you're back to the page where it says funding. Okay, awesome. It's working tonight. Okay, so that's where that track your funding is. Please make sure that you're watching that, because that's going to be your best friend with knowing how much money you've raised. Fundraising breakdown. So this is how we have the fundraising broken down based upon your Girls Academy application and how much we have collected from you or will collect from you. Lead facilitator travel and meals, $1,000. School facility rental and utilities is $500, and the administrator stipend is $500 as well. We lump those into one and make that a total $1,000 reimbursement to the school, and we're going to touch on that in a little bit. Participant workbooks, they cost about $500. The t-shirts for event staff are right at $500. The additional materials, supplies, and giveaways, $800. Printing and copying, $200. Postage and delivery, $400. Administrative costs, so that's my time, $500, and then total program costs of $4,900. As you see, this does not include food, so please keep that in mind. You need to make sure that you've budgeted extra for food. School information. Most of you should know this by now, but we are looking for a middle school, 5th to 8th grade, 50 participants. Really no less, no more. We want 50 participants. That's how this program works. That's a sweet spot. And so we are striving to get to 50. You will want to ask for Wi-Fi and internet access, so volunteers, which are our lead facilitators, have access to the Kappa Cloud. A school administrator should be on site at all times. This includes the overnight experience as well. She or he must be there the entire time. We need to make sure that we reiterate that this is an overnight experience. There are some schools that have not somehow grasped the concept that this is an overnight experience, and you show up the day of and they have no idea that they're actually spending the night. So please make sure that that is very, very, very well known when you are preparing your school for this experience. Make sure that you have know of any documentation that's needed for facilitators, both large and small group, as well as volunteers. There are some schools and there are some states where fingerprinting and background checks and even TB testing are required in order to be in the school. What we do like to ask is, we ask the school if these are the same requirements of those that are parent volunteers. We understand that this stuff can get very expensive, and this, whatever it costs us to fingerprint, background check, or TB test, does come from the school stipend. So we want to make sure that we are not wasting that, for lack of better words. So if only the people that are spending the night in the room with the girls need these things, or if anybody that walks through the doors need these things, we like to have those conversations first. So if you are working with a school that it looks like these are going to be something that is going to be needed, please talk to me about that so that I can maybe help you work through that and see if we can minimize our cost with that. Last thing, Spanish, and actually I didn't add in here, but also Mandarin documentation. We do have the parent documents in both Spanish and Mandarin. So if you are working with a school that either of those languages are beneficial for your population, please let me know. I can send you those, but I will only send you those on request. Materials. So your facilitator guides and curriculum binders are going to come 6 to 7 weeks before your event. Please look at them. It is important that you are actually opening them up. We don't need to be opening them up the day of the training. It is something that we want you to be very familiar with the curriculum. So when you get them, pass them out to the small group facilitators and make sure that they actually are reading them. Registration and school paperwork will come about a month out from your event. This will be a blue folder, and this is where you can have everybody register. It has all of the evaluations. It has confirmation letters. It has teacher recommendation forms. It has just about anything in there you could want. It is truly the Bible to Girls Academy documentation, so make sure that you are looking at it and making sure that everything's in there that your school has asked for and that you know you need. And then making sure that you're getting that information over to the school immediately. T-shirts, those will get sent 2 to 3 weeks out from your event, as well as banner and the program and leadership fair materials. So the t-shirts will come from a separate company. Those do not come from me because I'm not going to pay for them to be shipped twice. The banner will also come from me, but it's going to be in like a long tube, and a lot of people seem to misplace it. So make sure that you recognize that banner is coming to you 2 to 3 weeks out as well. Program and leadership fair materials will come typically in about 4 to 5 large boxes. They are heavy, so make sure whoever is going to pick them up knows that they're heavy and that it's going to be a lot for them to carry. So they either have mode of transportation or something, but make sure that you know that. And then I also want you to check each shipment diligently. Shocker, spoiler alert, I am human and I do make some mistakes. And so I want to make sure that you have all of the supplies that you need. If you call me on the Friday night and your event begins on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and say, Hillary, I don't have X, Y, and Z, I'm going to tell you to problem solve because I can't get you something that late in the game. So when you get these materials 2 to 3 weeks out, they do come with a checklist of all of the stuff that you need to have that you should have received. Make sure you open it up, review that checklist, make sure that everything's there in the quantity that it needs to be in, and then that will be that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All of these supplies need to be checked. Once Girls Academy is over, you will ship everything back to headquarters, and I will give you a reimbursement for your shipping supplies, but you will ship everything back, pack it all up, and send it back. There are a couple of things that you won't send back. That's going to be on the supply list, but things like your flip charts, you won't send those back. You won't send back the chalk, and there are a couple of other things. But please, if you have any questions about that, just let me know. Facilitators and Fitz. So first off, you will be assigned 2 large group facilitators. The first facilitator is going to be your lead one, and she is going to be the person that's going to take you really through the large group curriculum. Lead 2 is going to be the person that's going to do the behind the scenes. So all of the program logistics, making sure that we're following the event guide, that we're staying on task and on time. And the 2 of them will work together, but they will have 2 very different teams. Lead 1 will oversee all of the small group facilitators, and lead 2 will oversee the event staff. Then we have somebody that's called a FIT, and a FIT is a facilitator in training. We have not yet assigned the FITs for spring of 2017, but you may have a FIT that will attend your location. You will each be notified individually if you do have a FIT that's going to be attending your location. They are really there to learn how to facilitate this program and become familiar with the curriculum. Girls Academy is a very unique program, and so it's something that we like to give all of our FITs an opportunity to shadow before they go and they do the program on their own. This is not a time for them to run your errands or move your tables or do whatever needs to be done that you don't have enough program staff for. They're more than happy to pitch in, but they truly are there to absorb the most amount of information that they can in a short period of time. So please be respectful of that. Whether you have facilitators and a FIT or just facilitators, you are expected to house the facilitators and FITs for the pre-training, the Friday night training, and the Friday night training. It doesn't need to be a hotel, but you can do a hotel if you'd like. You can do your chapter facility. This is a great opportunity for alumni to be engaged and have local alumni host a person or 2 at their house each night. The pre-training, only lead 1 will be there and any local facilitators in training. And then for the training itself, right before the Friday night training, right before your Girls Academy event, everybody will be there. So everybody's going to need a place to stay. So this pre-training, I just touched on it a little bit. All chapters are expected to host a pre-training, and that'll be in person, and it's 3 to 4 weeks before your event. We really don't like you to go out further than 3 to 4 weeks, and we really don't like it to be any closer than 3 to 4 weeks. So please work with your lead 1 facilitator to make sure that that date works. You'll also want to check with the FITs. If the FITs are close enough, you'll know, and we'll want to make sure that they're included on that date selection as well. Like I just said, lead 1 facilitator and the FITs will be present at the event. You and the chapter and the association are expected to house and feed both the facilitator and the FIT, and you need to plan for a full day of training. Everybody's going to be there at some point in time that will be involved with the Girls Academy program. The training as it's set right now is set to be 6 hours long. One of those 6 hours is with the entire chapter. One of those 6 hours is with all of the event staff, which also includes your alumna. And 4 of those 6 hours has to do with small group training. So make sure that you're planning plenty of time for this. Friday night training, this is the Friday night before your Girls Academy event, should be about 4 hours. That could be 10 hours or it could be 2 hours. It just depends upon truly how prepared you are. So please make sure that you are scheduling at least 4 to 5 hours. Work with your lead 1 and lead 2s to designate exactly how much time you'll need. You're going to need dinner for people for that night as well. So make sure you budget or have accommodations for that as well. Something as simple as like 5 pizzas would do. So please don't feel like you need to go all fancy, but that's definitely something you'll want to keep in mind. This is where everybody is going to participate. So lead one, lead two, and Fitz will be there. And then anybody involved with the weekend will have a role in this Friday night training. So you'll need to make sure that everybody has this marked off on their calendars. Volunteers and event staff. So our college women will serve as the small group facilitators. There is an application process, and you will need to make sure that your individual selected to be a small group facilitator will be available from Friday night all the way through the Sunday. There are 5 small groups, and there are no more than 2 college women per small group. So we're going to have a total of 10 small groups. Or 10 small group facilitators, I'm sorry. You will have 2 lead facilitators, lead 1 and lead 2. You will have your fit facilitator should somebody be assigned to your location. And then you'll have 20 plus event staff. This is your college women and your local alumni. These are going to be people that will be staying overnight with you. So we need college women and alumni who are willing to guard the room while the girls are sleeping in it. They really don't get to sleep a whole lot that night, so keep that in mind. This will include anybody that's helping with meals, setup, teardown, registration. It includes your on-site area coordinator. It includes your alumni area coordinator. It also includes the school administrator and then any other individuals that have volunteered. This does become an extensive list of people. You will not want to have the same people volunteering throughout the entire weekend. It is a very tiring 2 days. So we want to make sure that everybody recognizes where their shift breakouts are, etc. So you will want to work very diligently to make sure you have a large group of gung-ho volunteers for this event. So day of event and event resources. You will follow the event guide to the minute. It is literally planned out to the minute. You will follow it to the minute. If you don't follow it, then we're going to get to a point where we're going to get too far off the program and we're going to need to cut things out. And we do not want to cut out from the curriculum. So please make sure that you're following the event guide. Your event staff should recognize exactly what supplies are needed and when those supplies are needed. For example, when do we need to have the RC cars and our batteries for the leadership fair? And when do the flip charts need to be in small group breakout spaces? And when do we need to have everybody out of the large group space so that we can flip it for food and those types of things? Make sure that they recognize the small details within the event guide. You need to ensure that you have everything you need. So snacks, food, drinks, etc. That's not included within the program. So you'll want to make sure that you have all of those things and that you have that set up to arrive on time. I will tell you, I visited a Girls Academy program in April, and the food, somebody somehow got stuck in traffic or something. I don't necessarily know, but the food ended up showing up like a half hour late. And while it worked, it was not ideal. So make sure that you have either a plan to go pick that up or it's already pre-made and it's already there. But we'll just want to make sure that we have definite plans when it comes to food, because unfortunately, if you're relying on a delivery driver, sometimes they don't come in enough time. Saturday night activities, you can do games, you can do karaoke, you can do a dance party. If you've hosted this program in the past, you may or may not have done nails as well as like makeup and hair. We have cut that piece out of the program. I don't feel as though that is something that is necessarily teaching and portraying the lessons that we're giving to them in the curriculum. So we've cut that piece out. You can do anything that you want with regards to those Saturday night activities. Just work with lead 1 and lead 2. The girls just like to be able to like have fun for a little bit. And then they'll end Saturday night with a movie. Last resource that's available, and this is for facilitators only, but it's the Kappa Cloud. So this is where it's really important that you have access to internet while you're there. In case something has been forgotten, all of the materials are uploaded to the Kappa Cloud, so something can be easily downloaded and printed from there. So reimbursements. The chapter is more than likely going to need reimbursed for return shipping, as well as some other supplies, because you are expected to purchase some supplies yourself and be reimbursed for those. You need to submit your reimbursement to me within 3 weeks of the event, and you need to have receipts. You will not be reimbursed for food of any sort unless you have an approved grant. And that's where I'm going to get into this a little bit. There are supplemental grants that are available. They are up to $1,500 for food and post-mentoring activities. What I will say is you have to have raised more than your $4,900. So say you look on your tracker and you've raised $6,000 and $6,000 is sitting in the foundation. That means that you have overraised technically by $1,100. You would be able to submit a supplemental grant request for that $1,100 in order to use it for food and post-mentoring activities. That does need to be done and submitted and approved before you host. If it is approved for the amount that you've over fundraised up to $1,500, you will have to pay for all of those supplies, the food and post-mentoring supplies first, and then provide me the receipts and be reimbursed. And then those reimbursements will be processed up to the approved amount. Please just make sure that you recognize what the chapter is responsible for and what we are responsible for at headquarters. This program is deemed a program in a box because everything is sent to you, but there are still a few supplies, such as those flip charts, that we have you purchase because it's easier for you to purchase them than me to ship them to you. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence with checking to see what you need to purchase on your end. Keep those receipts, get those reimbursed, and then if you do have a supplemental grant, we can get you reimbursed for the food and the post-mentoring activities. Do not come to me 3 days after your Girls Academy event and say, oh shoot, we didn't realize we had an extra $1,700 in the foundation and we spent all this money on food and I would like to submit a supplemental request. You will not have that approved. Your supplemental grant needs to be to me well before you host. For you all, I would say that you would want to try and have that grant request into me by the middle of January. That will give us enough time to go through the ropes and get all of the people involved that we need to have involved. So with that being said, we can talk about that later on an individual basis if you think that that will affect you, but please make sure that you keep that in mind. So the school reimbursement as well as reports and evaluations. The school is going to be reimbursed as long as they submit a reimbursement form. It is not your responsibility to submit that for them. They know on their event contract that they signed that they are expected to submit the form themselves. They are only reimbursed up to $1,000. The breakdown for that is $20 a student. So if you have less than 50 participants to begin with, like say you have 45 participants, the most that the school will be able to receive is $900. From that, reimbursements will only be processed if evaluations are submitted. You will receive 100% of your maximum amount. So for this instance, 45 participants, maximum amount is $900. If we get 75% of your evaluations or more, they'll get all $900. If we get less than 75%, it's put on a sliding scale. So we need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and getting those reports back to us. Assessment, as you all know, is a really key important piece in any program, and those evaluations are one of our only ways to assess the program. So it is important that we have those back. Final reports and evaluations should be sent back with the supplies. Please, 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 please make sure that you do that. Your final report will be you will work in conjunction with your lead 1 and lead 2 facilitators to complete it. Those evaluations, the parent post-event evaluation as well as the participant post-event evaluation, will need to be sent back with the pre-event evaluations for both of those parties before you ship back all your supplies. Like that should all go in the supply bucket. Those parent post-event evaluations, they only get 2 weeks with them, and then you should collect them at that point. So please make sure you're keeping that on your radar as well. So mentoring and post-event. So you are supposed to have a mentoring event within 8 weeks of your first event. I know that may be difficult for some of you if you decide to host in the late spring. So that'll be something you can work with me, and we can have you do a post event when you first get back in the fall semester. Sample events could be invite them to campus, and you can do a campus tour. You can show them your chapter facility. You can do a magic show. You can do an ice cream social. You could do a tutoring session or an after school program with them at their school. You can do truly whatever you want to do. So just keep that in mind, that it is an expectation that you do this post mentoring event within 8 weeks of your program. Then we ask that you do one more post mentoring event within 6 months of your program. The goal of Girls Academy is to create a long-lasting impression on the school, as well as to have this mentorship program that can be long-lasting for the girls that participated. So please keep that in mind, as this will be something that we do expect that you host. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up for questions. I think I touched on just about anything that you guys may have large, detailed questions about. I'm sure that as we have smaller questions, or as this planning process goes on, there will be continual questions that will need to be answered. So I am happy to answer those on a one-on-one basis. But at this point, go ahead and start typing your questions now if you have any, and I can get those answered. Biggest thing for you to remember, October 1st, sign contract. And then next semester, I will host a one-on-one individual webinar with each host institution. And we will go through the nitty-gritty details, as well as some things for you, key points for you to remember as you get closer to your event. So look for that when we get into the beginning of next semester. It'll probably be about 2 months before your event. Somebody asked if it was possible for you to be sent this PowerPoint. I can send you this PowerPoint, but this was also recorded and will be on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to review, as well as hear my comments on the whole thing through the YouTube channel. I will send that link out as soon as it's posted to the YouTube site. Another individual asked where we find the paperwork for a supplemental grant. If you would like a supplemental grant, please send me an individual request. I will send you the 3 grant templates. There is a template for just post-mentoring activities that is $300. There's a template for just food, which is $1,200, or there's a template for both, which is $1,500. All you will have to do is submit one of the 3. But please send me an individual email at hstall@kkg.org, and I will send you those supplemental grants. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions, but that doesn't mean you're not typing. So let's go ahead. I'll give you another couple minutes and see if any other questions come in. And if not, we will be done for the evening, and I will have you on a new webinar in probably the next couple of months. All right, raise your hand if you are working on typing a question. I don't want to close it out if you are. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised. Thank you all for a really fast, quick, and informative webinar. If you have any questions in the time being, you all know how to reach out to me, hstall@kkg.org. Please share this with those of you that were not on, or with those of your team that were not on the webinar. And this will be available on our YouTube channel probably as early as tomorrow. So stay tuned for this to actually be sent out and more information. And I look forward to hearing from all of you by October 1st with your contract signed. Bye, everybody, and have a good night.